Hey, gang, welcome to the Loan Officer Freedom, #1 podcast for loan officers in North America. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Carl White. And I got a question for you here. What's the one thing you've been putting off because it scares you? What's the one thing that you've been putting off because it scares you? So I'm calling this episode Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Though, what's the one thing you've been putting off because it scares you? And whether it's making prospecting calls, reaching out to top producing real estate agents, tackling tough conversations. Look, we've all been there, right? So fear can be paralyzing. But here's the good news. Fear doesn't have to be the enemy, right? Fear is not the enemy. Inaction is. See, I talk about this thing, it's called the cost of inactivity. That's huge. I want you to picture this. If we do an activity, or when we do an activity that closes us an extra 4 loans for the month, right? For many of us, that's somewhere between, say, 4 loans at $3,000 each, an extra 12 grand, an extra 10 grand, an extra 15 grand. So let's just say an extra 10 grand, and we multiply that times 12 months, right? That's $120,000 of the cost of inactivity. And frankly, it's likely to be much, much more than that. So today we're going to dive into the first episode of a 3-part series kicking off here in 2025. And this series is all about helping you do 3 things. #1, overcoming your fear. #2, take action. #3, set yourself up for the best year yet, right? So, and in this episode, the first one, what we're going to explore is why fear is natural and how it can actually help you grow. #2, what happens to your brain when you tackle hard tasks. We talked a little bit about this in the previous episode, I believe, as I recorded this, if they're published in the order that I recorded them. #3, a real success story of somebody who faced their fears and transformed their business. And the purpose of me telling you this, of course, is to help inspire you to do the same, perhaps, right? Let's start talking about that fear is a natural part of growth. Fear is a natural part of growth. When you're about to do something that takes you out of your comfort zone, your brain's amygdala, right? That's the part of your brain that's responsible for your fight or flight response. So when you do something that takes you out of your comfort zone, that part of the brain kicks in. And that part of your brain, the amygdala, is designed to protect you from danger. But here's the thing, that part of your brain, it doesn't know the difference between a life-threatening situation and a tough phone call, right? Myself and Kevin Gillespie talked about this in our book, Overcoming Call Reluctance for Loan Officers, is that when the brain feels fear, it doesn't know if it's afraid of a phone call and afraid of rejection. It's afraid that a bear is getting ready to eat you, right? It's to that part of the brain, it's seen as the same thing. No wonder that many loan officers have that fear of call reluctance, because their brain is telling them a bear is getting ready to eat them. But here's the cool part. There's no bears in mortgage, right? There's no bears in mortgage. That's actually not going to happen. So here's the thing. It's likely that we can't eliminate the fear, but we can decide how we respond to it. Let me say that again. This is a real big deal. You may not be able to eliminate fear, right? But you can decide how you respond to it. One of my favorite quotes is, courage isn't the absence of fear, it's feeling the fear and taking action anyway. That's what courage is. And when you choose to act despite fear, you're sending powerful message to yourself, I can handle this, right? And every time you take that step, your brain rewires itself to make it even easier next time. So it gets easier as it goes along, right? That's scientifically proven. Now, let's dig a little deeper into what's happening in your brain when you push through that fear. So every time you face a challenge, your brain forms new neural pathways through a process called neuroplasticity, right? We talked about this in a previous episode. Think of it like creating a trail through the woods, right? The first time you go through the woods, it's hard, right? You're clearing branches and you got to get a machete and cut away the vines, right? And you're finding your way. But the more you walk through that path, the clearer and easier it becomes, and you get further, faster, easier. Well, when you take action, right? Even if it's small, you're teaching your brain to adapt and grow. And over time, the things that used to scare you, like making that call or asking for referrals, becomes second nature. Here's the kicker. Taking action not only reduces the fear in that moment, it also builds confidence for your future challenges. So the next time fear shows up, remind yourself, this is my brain's way of growing stronger, right? Every time you lift a weight at the gym, it's a way of you're making your muscles grow stronger. Every time you have fear that shows up and you tackle that challenge and you push through it and do it anyway, you're literally helping your brain grow stronger so that next time it's easier. Now, let me tell you just real quick about James, one of our members, who turned his fear into fuel, right? Turned his fear into fuel. So when James first joined us, James, he's such a cool dude, right? Nicest guy you'd ever want to meet. And this guy's a man's man, right? I mean, he's like looks like he could be a linebacker for the 49ers, right? He was terrified of making his calls to real estate agents, right? I'm sure many of us can relate to that. He would procrastinate, he'd overthink it, and he'd convince himself that he wasn't ready. He'd say things like, what if they don't want to talk to me? Or what if I mess up? What if I screw up? I don't want to sound salesy. I need to bring something of value. All that crap that we've all said at some point, right? But James decided enough was enough. He committed to feeling the fear and doing it anyway. Hey there. Hey, if you're loving the tips so far, be sure to hit that subscribe button right down there and then tap the little bell so that you never miss out on more free, cool tips coming your way. Also, I would love to hear from you. Drop a comment beneath there. Let me know what you think or tell me what you'd like to hear next. And here's what he did. He did three things. Number one, he started small, right? Start small. We talked about this before. Have a lower barrier, right? Set the bar lower for yourself, right? So instead of trying to call 10 agents in a day, he set a goal at the first, just call one, right? Actually speak to one person. Might have to make 3 or 4 dials to make that happen. But he set a goal. I'm going to talk to one a day, right? One qualified agent, one agent that's doing really good business that could really move the needle when they start referring to me. One a day, right? And number two, he focused on action, not the results. So he started small. And then number two, he focused on the action, not the results. Like James knew he couldn't control how agents would respond to him, but he could control him showing up and making the call. So he focused on that part. Number three, he tracked his progress. So every time he made a call, he'd celebrate it as a win, right? Regardless of the outcome. So he started small, focused on the action, not the results, and he tracked his progress. Now, at first, he told me, Carl, it wasn't easy, right? His heart raced, his palms sweat. The guy, this guy is like a man's man. He looks like a bear, right? But his heart raced, his palms sweat, his palms, got all damp, and he said he stumbled over his words, but he kept going, right? He pushed through it, he kept going, and something amazing happened. He said that the more calls that he made, right, the more confident he became. He was growing those neural pathways. Within 3 months, James had built relationships with 2 top producing agents who now referred him business regularly. More importantly, he's no longer paralyzed by that fear. He's turned it into a stepping stone instead of a roadblock. And understand that he told me that these 2 agents, they're top producing agents, right? These are the kinds that send him referrals like every week, right? So a top producing agent, these are the agents that are closing 1, 2, 3, 4 buyer sides per month, right? They have a lot of listings. Their big problem is they need somebody to follow up on all the leads they got. They don't need new leads, right? That's for struggle bunnies, right? The struggle bunnies say, hey, I need leads. I don't have anything going in my real estate business. This is the top producers. That's who you want to go after, right? So that's what he did, and he turned his fear that previously paralyzed him into a stepping stone instead of a roadblock. So, all right, how can you start feeling the fear and do it anyway? Here's 3 steps. Number 1, name your fear. Write down what you're afraid of. Is it rejection? Is it failure? Looking foolish? Naming it takes away all its power. So write it down. Here's what I'm afraid of, Carl. Write it down. Number 2, take the smallest step, right? What's the one tiny action that you can take today, right? One tiny action you take. Maybe it's, again, just making that first call, right? Make that first call. Just one, even if you get their voicemail, just make a call to a top producing agent, right? Small wins build into momentum, just like what they did with James. So number one, name your fear. Number two, take the smallest step, make one call. Number three, track your progress. Right, track your progress. Remember, we're keeping a record of every time you push through the fear. We want you to celebrate the action, not just the outcome. Celebrate the action, celebrate your activity, celebrate your pushing through it, not just the outcome, right? That's so important. So this week, I'm going to challenge you to take on one action that you've been avoiding because of fear, right? We all have it, right? Myself too, included. Hell, I get afraid every time I click the record button on these podcasts. I hope they like it. I hope I can convey what's in my head, right? When I kind of write these things out in my head, most of the time I'm on my bicycle, and so I'm out early riding, and I just kind of ponder these things, and I get home and I write down my notes real quick, and I hope when I record this thing, I'm always, I have that fear. I hope it can, I hope I can get them as excited about it as I am giving it, right? But you just push through the fear and do it anyway. So anyway, so back to the challenge. I want to challenge you to take one action that you've been avoiding because of fear. So feel the fear and do it anyway. Feel the fear and do it anyway. You'll be amazed on how good it feels to take control, right? Feel the fear and do it anyway. And when you're ready to build that confidence and skills to tackle 2025 head on, I'd love to invite you to join us for a website walkthrough over here at the Mortgage Marketing Animals. And what we'll do for you for absolutely free is we'll give you a getting results action planning call at getmoreloans.com, right? So you want to get results. We're going to show you, here's what you need to do. Here's the activity. This is a paint by numbers. This is what I want you to do this week, and we'll give it to you in its completeness, right? This is not like useful but incomplete. This will be useful, incomplete. We'll do it like, go do this, right? And it's a getting actions planning call by simply going to getmoreloans.com, getmoreloans.com. And I'm convinced you'll be amazed on how much we can accomplish together on one simple 30-minute phone call by doing that. Getmoreloans.com. So if you're having fear and anxiety about scheduling that call, push disbelief to the side, feel the fear, do it anyway, right? Getmoreloans.com. We've got the tools and the strategies and the support that you need to overcome fear and grow your business and stop writing that check of the cost of inactivity, right? It's huge for all of us, right? So, and I've also got in the show notes, by the way, the link there. You can click the link in the show notes. It's pretty easy to remember, getmoreloans.com. So, hey, well, thanks for listening in to this episode in this series I'm doing, Feel the Fear and Taking Action. And I've got two more parts of this section, but what I want you to do right now, getmoreloans.com, getmoreloans.com. See what you've been missing. Remember, fear is natural. It doesn't have to control you. Take that first step today and watch what happens. I'm convinced you'll be astounded and very grateful that you did. So until next time, until you call in, keep moving forward, make it a great day, and I'll talk to you when you call in.